Hello, this is Workbench, Episode 2. I am Seth Werkheiser, along with Bill Meese, two people who work in music and love technology, and we want to share some of our nerdy knowledge to help make your work easier and more manageable. Hello, Bill.
Hi, Seth W. How you doing today?
I am doing excellent.
How's your week going?
The week's been good. A little chilly, a little travel. You know, it's good.
Any crazy stories from the road?
I wish there were, but no, just happened to land in Philadelphia. Not land, literally. I took a bus here. Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Nice city. Good times, good coffee everywhere. It's amazing.
Awesome.
I love it.
Awesome.
Yeah. How about you? What's going on with you?
Oh, back to work after the 3-day weekend, thanks to the Dr. Martin Luther King.
Amen. Yes.
And, yeah, just grinding, man. Just getting it done, as they say on the interwebs.
Ooh, they do say that. GTD.
GTD. It sounds like an expression you would use if you're like frustrated or upset. Like, GTD. All right, I'll do it. All right, so what are we talking about today?
We are totally going to talk about iOS apps.
What are those?
Is that right?
Yes.
They are apps that you use on your iPhone, Bill.
Right, and you purchase in the Apple App Store, which has blossomed into a huge revenue source for both Apple and our friends, the developers.
Absolutely. The remarkable thing is the original iPhone didn't ship with an app store.
I think I remember that, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it wasn't until the iPhone 3G came out that there was an actual app store.
And how many years later, and it's a billion-dollar business, or close to it?
The Apple issued a press release the first week of January, set a new record for the App Store. Customers around the world spent nearly $500 million on apps and in-app purchases in the first week of January.
You know, that's a story that is such a success story, because if you think about the music industry or the movie industry where revenues are down, and here comes Apple out of nowhere and creates a billion-dollar marketplace from thin air.
Thin air, absolutely.
That just goes to show you that if you tap a marketplace correctly, there really isn't a limit to the amount of revenue you can take from it.
It's amazing. $500 million in a week.
It's crazy.
Yep.
So I think we're going to talk about some of our favorite apps. And I didn't want this episode to be like a top 10 apps of 2013.
No.
Because that has been beaten to death, drawn to the curb, and taken away with the other beaten to death topics.
Right. And I think a lot of the times, I know this is true with you and why we're doing this podcast in the first place, but a lot of people that I hang out with and meet up with that have smartphones, we're always ask, oh, what app are you using? Or you look over at someone using their phone, what the heck is that? And they explain it to you. So exactly. That's exactly what this episode is going to be.
That's great.
Take it away, Bill.
Well, the first one I want to talk about is an app called Drafts. And Drafts is one that a lot of people have spoken about. A lot of people on other podcasts have talked about. I think there's even whole episodes dedicated to this app alone in certain podcasts. But the developer is Agile Tortoise, and they make a bunch of different apps, but Drafts is the one that I use the most. And put simply, it's a simple text editor that enables you to take quickly inputted text and do a variety of different things with it. And what I love about it the most is that when you open up the app, it takes you right into the field where you can enter text. So if you're going to jot something down, whether it's you need to remember to buy bananas, or it's an important phone number, or whatever, it opens up immediately to a field where you can enter text quickly. And
no fumbling around. Yeah.
No, and I know it took us 2 minutes to mention getting things done by David Allen again, but a lot of that is emptying your head and getting it out into a manageable system. and Drafts app enables you to do that. Some of the things that you can do with it are export it to a Google Doc, export it to a note in Dropbox, but you can export to reminders lists or any of your iOS lists. But I use it primarily to enter things into Omnifocus, which I'll talk about later. But if you need to enter text quickly and jot it down to do something later with it, Drafts is definitely an app to check out. They have a brand new version out now, which is Drafts 4, I believe.
Do you have to pay for it?
Yeah, it's I believe it's $5.
Okay.
But yeah, it is $5. But it's money well spent. Like it's one of those apps that I use every day. It took me a little while to put down the $5, but I don't regret it at all. It's one that I use all the time, and it's in my dock. So enough said. If it's in your dock, it's one that you use all the time.
Oh yeah, that's cool. That's cool. Yeah, I'm definitely one of those that I haven't found that app of how to enter stuff in quick. Maybe this one I'll give it a try, but yeah, because I know that pain point of like you're hanging out with someone or you need to get a number, you need to do this, that, and the other. It's like you're fumbling. Where do I put it? Do I open contacts? Do I open Evernote? Evernote's not that quick opening up, and I'll definitely. It seems Drafts is pretty lightweight in that sense, right?
Yeah, it's minimal too, which I know you love.
Yeah, nice.
Why don't you tell me about one you like?
Yeah, let me first preface this with I'm not a huge fan of chat per se, but with the smartphone, chat is becoming less chat and just more communication. So what I found is Google Hangouts, by Google, and what it is because that's become kind of so ubiquitous, working with so many different people with Gmail and all that. And it's just a great way to keep in touch, whether you're on if you're moving from your desktop and you're leaving your desktop or you're closing your laptop and you have to head somewhere, that the Google Hangouts app on your phone keeps the conversation going. So you don't have to set some status message of away, or you're still just available as if you were at your desktop, which is pretty cool. Right.
Yeah, I actually love that one too. It's one of a few chat programs I use.
Absolutely. I mean, besides the, on the iPhone, the Messages app, that kind of stuff. But for sure, I use that quite a bit. And it's also neat, too, if for whatever reason you might not have cell phone service somewhere, but you can also make phone calls with it over Wi-Fi.
Oh, really? I haven't tried that.
Yep. And it works pretty well. So.
Do you use the Messages app a lot with the new operating system on Mac?
I only use it on my phone. I do not use it on my desktop.
I use it pretty heavily, but I use it because I don't know. I use it especially now with Yosemite. You can send text messages to your green bubble friends, I call them. I don't know if you remember. Right. if someone else is on Messages or iChat, it comes up as blue and it works over Wi-Fi and it doesn't use your data plan, but
no, it does use your data plan. It doesn't use your text plan.
Oh, excuse me. Thank you.
That's okay. No,
but with Yosemite, I can now send text messages to people that don't even have iPhones from my laptop. Which, when you need to stay in contact with people all the time for what I do for a living, it's quite an advantage. Especially if I need to communicate with tour managers or band members or managers or anyone, and just eliminating that step of me picking up my phone and typing something out with my thumbs is kind of awesome.
Yeah, I've been trying to move away from Messages, and because I just kind of wanted to keep it separate, that if I'm communicating with people, I do it on my phone, but I definitely have felt the draw back to the dark side of opening Messages again. So, but in the meantime, Google Hangouts on my phone, Messages on my phone works out nice.
Awesome. Well, one of my other apps that's in my dock is Overcast, and which is pretty relevant to what we're doing here. It's a podcast player. I was using Instacast for a long time, and I liked it, and it served its purpose. but I started listening to some more savvy podcasters out there, and every one of them recommended Overcast. So I figured I'd try it out, put it in my beta folder, give it a test run, and it's amazing.
Totally. I love it too.
My favorite feature, and I actually used it this morning on our first episode.
Oh, you went back and listened to it.
Yeah, is the effects that Overcast puts on the episode. One being smart speed, and the other one being a vocal enhancer. I don't use the vocal enhancer that much because generally the podcasts I listen to are pretty good audio wise. But the smart speed is awesome because everyone speaks differently, obviously, and some people speak much slower, and some people speak really quickly, and you can't understand them because they say too much in 1 minute. But smart speed enables you to listen to them back at a constant speed based on whatever their voice is like. So I noticed on our episode that it sped it up a little bit. I'm assuming because we probably have a few more pauses in between what we're saying than most people, but
we're still trying to figure this out. Yeah.
But it's pretty neat. I mean, it'll cut down a 20-minute podcast into it'll shave a few minutes off because it'll eliminate the gaps in between what people are saying.
Wow, I use that and I didn't know it really did that all that much because that's a paid feature, right? You pay to unlock it.
Yeah, I think it was like $4 or $5.
God, that's nothing for such a amazing piece of amazing app.
Yeah,
to play all these podcasts.
And Marco Arment is the developer that made it. You can find him at marco.org. And what's interesting about him is that he's not only a blogger and a developer, but he recently posted the full financial income that Overcast made last year. And if you're interested in what exactly a developer makes, in a year based off of one app, check out that post because it goes into great detail as to what he made and what he had to give to Apple and what his overhead was. And he really didn't have to do that, and it's very transparent of him. But I thought that was really interesting because I don't think anyone expected him to do that. But I'm really glad he did because it gave me a way better insight to what goes into making a pretty cool podcast app.
That's really cool. Yeah, great app. Why don't we talk about another app I use?
I think that's a great idea.
Oh, man, I got great ideas tonight. Gonna go back. This is the second episode, of course. I'm going to detect a trend here, but Evernote on my mobile phone is probably my most used because pretty much a couple years ago, 2011, I needed a way to I with Skull Toaster, my heavy metal trivia project. I wrote my questions like on the weekend, and then during the week I would post them. But I needed a place to keep them where I could publish them on my phone, and because I wanted to copy and paste them and publish them when I was able to. And I used Google Docs for a little bit for a while, and that was just a train wreck. And finally, I think that's why I really started to using Evernote even more, because I was able to put them all in that, and it was just easy to bring up Evernote and find the stuff that I needed to copy and paste, and in this case, tweet as I needed. You could use it for other stuff too that you might need throughout your day. Maybe you have information about what you're working on, and you're collaborating with other people. They email you or text you, hey, where's this, where's that? You could just go into Evernote, find it, copy and paste it. Works so nicely.
As much as I love Google Docs, and I use that throughout my workday, their mobile platform is nowhere near where Evernote is. And I actually will copy and paste important things that I need to know. Like if I'm in the office and I know I'm going to a show, or if I'm going out to a meeting and I need information quickly, I'll actually take it out of Google Docs and paste it into Evernote, knowing that it'll perform better.
Wow.
And
yeah.
in theory, Google Docs can do that, but I've had not so great luck with that. So Evernote has come through. And another thing with Evernote too, with iOS 8, is that you can create new notes from the Today screen, which is part of the top drop-down, drag-down feature that they added.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
Yeah, if you swipe down from the top and click Today, and then scroll all the way down and hit Edit, you can add Evernote into your Today screen. And it gives you the option of creating a note as if you're in the app, so text or a camera, existing photos, or even reminders or a list. So I'll be honest, I really haven't used that, but it's pretty cool.
It's there.
It's quick access.
I also use Evernote because I travel so much and by different means of transportation too, whether train and bus and this and that. So what I'll do, especially out here, East Coast, New York City, Boston, Philadelphia, there's so many different websites for all these different schedules, whether it's, the difference between Long Island Railroad and, New Jersey Transit, Greyhound, it's a mess. So what I'll do is before I leave, I'll actually I'll take screenshots of schedules and throw them in Evernote. Just so I'm not at, Penn Station trying to find a signal to look up the current schedule for that day. Yeah. I'll just keep it all in Evernote, and it works beautifully like that. I also do that with locations, too. Sometimes if I'm in the city and I need to find out where I'm heading or the office that I'm visiting, or this or that, I'll actually take a screenshot from Google Docs, put it in that, just so I know I have it, so I'm not relying on oh my God, Google Maps is down on my phone. So
right,
I love it.
I actually run all of my household bills through Evernote. So if I'm out getting the mail and I come in my kitchen and open up the mail, I can just snap the bills right from my phone and import them right into Evernote, which is pretty cool. Yep. There's a bunch of fancy scanners that you can get,
I've seen them.
The whole Fujitsu line. And I wish I could get one, but they're pretty pricey. Right. I'm sure they're worth their weight in gold, but it's still. I've had no problems using the camera on my phone to get all of that done.
Yeah, totally. And real quick, I also use because I walk a lot, and especially now that it's cold, if I have a thought that pops into my head, I don't want to open up an app and start typing away. I actually use Siri to email Evernote, and I'll just hit the button, Siri, email Evernote. What would you like it to say? I'll just dictate something, and then when I get back to my desktop or whatever, I open up Evernote, and it's right there in my inbox, all transcribed for me. So
I think you can do that with drafts too.
Really?
Yeah,
cool.
Yeah, but then again, drafts is kind of designed to open up really quickly and enable you to start writing right away.
Right, but in the cold, I don't want to type.
Yeah,
my hands are cold.
True. I can't tell you how many times I've been in the car, and I have added stuff into drafts, and at the end of the day, there's 15, 20 things in there, and I'm like, whoa, what the hell is that? And I'll go through it, and I'm like, oh yeah, I thought of that this morning, but totally forgot about it. And that right there is the key to taking extra steps to be more productive. Is to get the ideas out of your head and into a manageable system that you can trust better than your own brain. Our brains are not designed to remember a long list of things for a long period of time. There's tests and studies that you can find on the internet where the human brain can only remember so many numbers, in consecutive order for so long. And, when you're going throughout your day between your job, your home life, your family life, whatever creative project you're working on, and it just becomes really overwhelming. And you literally cannot do it all if you do not have some help. And that's what these apps have been doing for me and for us. So that's what we hope to offer people who are listening.
I think that takes us right into your next one, which is this beast called Omnifocus.
I'll preface this one with Omnifocus is way more than just an iOS app. Omnifocus,
it's a way of life.
I wouldn't go that far, but yes, I do agree.
Oh, I would, because I don't get it.
Omnifocus is one of the premier task management apps and one of the premier task management software companies. The developer is the Omni Group. They make Omnifocus, OmniGraffle, OmniOutliner, and a couple other ones. But Omnifocus is their flagship, and it's one that I use every day, all day. Now, you might remember, Seth, like I've been messing around with task management software for a long time. And there really wasn't one that I could find that was better than a piece of paper and a pen. And my biggest complaint with a lot of the ones out there was that it took me more time managing the management system than actually getting my ideas out into something that I could focus on. But with OmniFocus, with a little bit of getting used to in the very beginning, it has turned into a lifesaver. And I'm not going to explain the whole thing because it's way too much for this episode, but definitely go check it out.
It'll be in the show notes.
Yes, it'll be in the show notes. But the real quick pitch is that it works off of individual projects broken down into individual tasks that are due on certain dates, or you want to defer to certain dates. There's a whole context system that goes along with it. It's a big, big system, and I definitely recommend checking it out if you find yourself with pieces of paper with long lists of things to do written down on them that you're losing, or if you're using another task management system that isn't working for you, or you're interested in trying something new. This is definitely one to try. It's not cheap. The Mac version, I think, is like $40, and then there's an upgrade for another $40. I've been using the basic version for a long time, and it hasn't failed me. And I use the iOS app too, which is I think $20. But it syncs on its own server, so a lot of apps will sync with Dropbox, but this syncs with OmniFocus's own server. It's called OmniServer. So that has to be the best feature, I think, because the server has never failed. Like if I type something on my Mac, I pick up my phone, it's there within seconds, and vice versa. So and that's really big, because if I'm out and about, and you mentioned using Siri to put things into Evernote. I use Siri to put things into OmniFocus all day long, especially while I'm driving. Like because how many times you drive down the road and you things pop in your head and you think, crap, I got to remember that. Don't forget it. And then you get to the office, you get out and get inside, say hi to everybody, and then you've forgotten it already.
Totally.
And I do that every day because I'll sit down, open up OmniFocus, and 3 or 4 things I thought about on the ride over will pop up. And I'll think, oh, yeah, thank you, OmniFocus.
Wow. Yeah, I tried out OmniFocus. They have a trial version on the desktop. I didn't even get to the iOS app, the iPhone version.
Oh, that's right. I think I pressured you into doing it.
Yeah, you sat me down. Yeah, you didn't twist my arm, but I was like, no, it works for you. I want to try it, and man, I still couldn't wrap the way I do stuff, especially with Evernote. I just couldn't kind of twist into OmniFocus, I guess. And there's probably a way. If I was staying with you another night, we probably could have covered of how I could have done it. But
broke through that paper barrier of yours.
Trying.
But another really cool feature with OmniFocus is a lot like Evernote. You can email tasks into your OmniFocus inbox, and again, if you're in the email, if you're plowing through email and there's something you have to do, you can just forward it to your OmniFocus inbox, and it will forward over with all attachments, all text that's in the email, into a system that you can review later. So what's great is that if an email comes in, it's like, oh, 3 weeks from now we have to do XYZ. Forward it over to OmniFocus. It shows up in your inbox. Mark due in 3 weeks, and just forget about it. And
that's
then
awesome.
3 weeks from now, there's a view called Forecast View, which allows you to see today, tomorrow, next week, and so on. And it'll be there. And what's cool is you can drag and drop tasks from one day to the next. And that's the best, because if you're working on 40 different things in one day and it's 5:30 and there's three things left that you might not have to get to, but you should. And you don't feel like it. You can just drag them to the next day. Like, I'll do it tomorrow.
Cool.
Why don't you tell me about something you like?
Hey, nice. So we're gonna take a sponsor break, and this week's sponsor is my thing that I do called Skull Toaster, and I started in 2011. And what it is I post heavy metal trivia once a day on Twitter. And like I said, I've been doing that since 2011. And I just hit over 1,500 questions.
Wow.
Yeah. And now the fun thing, the reason I started too is back in 2011, it was like I just noticed everybody at shows or, friends of mine, we were always looking at our phones. And rather than start another metal blog where people are, click here to read the story, click here to read the story. Why don't I put the fun stuff right there in Twitter? That's what it was. And I post a question and then people answer it. And I reply whether you're right or wrong. And it's funny, back in 2011, I thought it would end there, but it sounds cliche, but that was just the start. but it's true, because I didn't expect this, but when people answer right or wrong, people we go back and forth on albums or on bands. We just talk goofy stuff. We talk serious stuff, and it's amazing.
Are you still doing your pizza themed band names?
We did for a couple months. We did a pizza themed where I would give 2 clues, and you would have to combine them into one delicious answer. Answers like crust in peace or tomato negative,
or black dahlia marinara.
Yes, that was yours. Yes. So and we have fun too. So if you're into heavy metal and the whole trivia thing, give a follow on. It's at Skull Toaster on Twitter, and we don't take ourselves very seriously. It's not name the third producer who worked with. No, it's fun stuff. It's like word games and just nerdy stuff. And then on top of that, I send out a nightly newsletter that kind of answers that question, but it also gives a whole bunch of background information and stuff to it. So, and I've sent over almost 600 of those emails too since I started that in 2012, I believe. And that's a good time too. So. And
you just started a Patreon, didn't you? Why don't you tell people what Patreon is and how they can find you on there?
I sure did. Patreon, everyone's heard of Kickstarter by now where, hey, I'm a band. I need $10,000 to record my album. Cool. Okay, here's $10,000. That's like a one-off thing. Whereas Patreon is perfect for me. It's perfect for creators that are always doing stuff, whether it's podcasts, whether you make art, draw like comics and stuff online, all that kind of stuff. So what it is, it allows people to become patrons and give you a couple bucks every month. So whether it's $1, $5, $10, and it works out really neat. And Patreon takes a small chunk, literally, and not a big chunk, and they throw it right into your PayPal account. So it's really cool. That's, for that, there's a link to that. There's a link to the Twitter. There's a link to the email list. You can find all that on skulltoaster.com.
That is awesome, and I am a Patreon of Skull Toaster.
You certainly are. And I thank you for that.
I get the questions in advance. Is that right?
You do, every Sunday night before everyone else.
I know, and I also got a postcard from you, so that was fun.
You did, yes. I made up special postcards. I made up pins and some other fun stuff just for people that support Skull Toaster through Patreon. It's really neat. So
that's awesome.
Check it out. Yep, skulltoaster.com.
Are you using anything for a read later app right now?
I am not.
Instapaper or anything?
Nope. I generally do a lot of my reading just here and there in front of my computer, but I know you use a reader app, don't you?
Yeah, I used Instapaper for a long time, like when it came out, but an app called Pocket came out a little while ago now. It's been a second. And it's, I know a lot of people still use Instapaper, especially their new version I hear is really awesome. But Pocket has just been a constant for me. And real quick, all it is, you're scanning the web, you're reading blogs, you're reading tweets, you're reading things in Feedly or Goodreader or any other RSS feed reader you might still be using now that Google Reader is gone. And if you come across 4 or 5 things that you would love to read but can't read now, you just put them into Pocket. And Pocket, it's an iOS app on your iPhone and your iPad, but it's also has a web interface that you can kind of review and go over things there. They have a pro version, which enables you to save things forever, I think, which is kind of cool if that's what you need. But for a simple read later app, it's awesome. And then from there, once it gets into Pocket, you can shoot it off to things like Twitter, or Facebook, or Buffer, or anything you might want to share with. Email, you can use messages, text messages, send it to your friend. So it's a really cool system to keep articles and videos that you really want to check out, but you might not be able to get to while you're waiting online for your morning coffee at 7-Eleven.
Sure.
But
that sounds neat.
Totally cool.
Does that work with like almost any website then, or?
Yeah, they have a Chrome extension which I use because I use Chrome, and that will shoot it off to my Pocket inbox, and then it also it works with the new iOS 8 extensions. So if you're in Safari now, which is I believe that's new, if you're in Safari, you can just hit the little square with the arrow pointing up and save it to Pocket, which is great. And it also has a tagging system. I haven't really gotten into that, but if you can save it and then tag it with something, and then keep things organized by tag. I've tried that before, but it just never went anywhere for me. But I still use it every day, and it's still something that people keep asking me, like, "Oh, what do you use for your Read Later app?" And that's the one I keep telling them. So it's obviously something people are thinking about. So that's why I wanted to add it in here.
Cool. Hey, before we get into my last app that I use, why don't you tell me about something you like?
Right. We're not going to use that again. But our next sponsor...
Hey, it's episode 2. Come on.
Our next sponsor and our final sponsor for this episode is CB's Copy, which is my company that I started to help journalists and web writers transcribe their interviews. It's very simple. If you're a journalist and you do interviews and record them, transcribing them before you write your piece makes it a lot easier to complete your thoughts and put them together and write a complete body of work. So you transcribe your interviews. Now, anyone that has ever written anything and have done an interview and has needed to transcribe it hates it. It's the worst part about writing. So I have a lot of friends that are writers, a lot of friends that are editors, and I started doing it, on the side, and it has turned into a very popular service that I provide. So if you want to find out more, just head over to seabeastcopy.com. That's SEABEAST copy.com, and it'll give you some more information. We have some great clients, and they all seem to be really happy.
I can attest that transcribing as a writer, as an editor, is horrible, but yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and we got a great team of people that work with us now that enable us to take on a little bit more than we used to, which is great because they keep coming back. So we need more people to do it.
Cool, that's great.
Why don't you tell me about Hackpad, because that's one of my favorites.
Hackpad. I found out about Hackpad from a few people on Twitter that were at conferences. And they're like, "Oh, we have an ongoing Hackpad, blah, 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 click here." I'm like, what the heck? Well, what I found out is people were like keeping these updated running documents on a thing called a Hackpad. And it's kind of similar to a Google Doc, but the mobile version is just beautiful and awesome. It just works so nicely from your iPhone. So that for me... I use it here and there for podcast notes, for stuff on the go, but also too, especially if I'm out and about and I get a message from someone about a podcast, about an episode, about this or that, it's easy to just go into Hackpad wherever I am, copy stuff or add notes to it, like wherever I am. I love the thing.
I like how it shows you very clearly who has made what edit. Yes. And if you're collaborating on copy or bodies of text that are making up a larger project, it makes a world of difference knowing who added what, because then if you have a question, you know exactly who you can speak to, and it's even more so if it's 3 or 4 people or even more collaborating on one body of text, and it just makes it way easier. Yeah.
So yeah, check that out. It's Hackpad. That'll be in our show notes. So definitely, if you need something lightweight, stuff like that to be able to work on, definitely recommend it.
Awesome. There's a couple other apps that I've been trying out. Do you have a system for trying out new apps, or you just kind of go off of word of mouth?
Word of mouth, or something looks cool, like off of some blog or something like that. That's about it. I have a beta folder that I keep new apps in. Ooh.
And one that I got to bring up is Workflow. Now, if your Workflow is an app that it basically takes multiple actions and automates them for you. So it'll take, like, if you want to share a screenshot over AirDrop or something, it has an entire workflow that will do that with 1 or 2 taps within the Workflow app. And it's really new. It only came out maybe a month ago, or maybe a little bit more than that. So I'm still waiting for some more reports and for some more in-depth analysis on it, but it's really cool. One of the ones that I've been using a lot is it's called make a PDF action within Workflow, and it kind of runs off of the whole iOS 8 extensions feature that they just put in with the new update.
Right.
Because one of Apple's biggest flaws on the iPhone is that the ability to make PDFs from anywhere really stinks. Especially in the Mail app. I really wish you could take an email with the whole thread and export it as a PDF the same way you can do on your Mac laptop. And why they haven't done that, I don't know. But with this new app, you still can't do it with this app. But if you're in Safari or you're in any web browser, you come across a website or anything, in the web, you can make that into a PDF that you can then put somewhere else, whether it's in an email or Dropbox or Evernote or endless options. But
yeah,
the fact that you can make a PDF from a website is pretty cool.
Cool.
And there's also a fancy make a GIF feature. And, mess around with your friend.
Oh, animated GIFs.
Right.
Oh.
What do you use to listen to music?
I don't listen to a lot of music on my iPhone, actually.
Really?
But if I really, yeah, I don't have any synced music from my iTunes on my phone. I don't have a big mega bandwidth data plan, so I can't stream music all that much. Yeah, I generally don't listen to music on my phone.
Wow.
If I do, I'm not a big shuffle fan, but I'll sometimes use like the Rdio radio setting. That's free. You can do that, or even iTunes Radio sometimes.
Yeah,
but I'm not. More audio on my iPhone is like the NPRone app.
That's a great app.
Or the TuneIn Radio app for different ESPN radio shows. Definitely on that, or local news. I like that. There's a neat one here in Philadelphia, a station I like, so I'll listen to that on occasion.
NPR has a really cool podcast. They have a bunch of podcasts, but
yeah,
one of the ones I like is the News Summary podcast.
Okay.
They release it like 3 or 4 times a day. It's like 3 a.m., 7 a.m., 2 p.m., and then 5 p.m. or something. And at pretty much any given point of the day, they're pushing new news to your to your phone. I use Overcast, obviously, so it pops in there like 3 or 4 times a day.
Wow.
So if I'm getting in the car and I don't want to listen to the radio, or I could just pop on the 6 a.m. newsreel, and it'll give me a 5-minute bite-sized bit of news that
cool.
kind of lays out the rest of the day.
Right. Yeah. I try not to digest too much news, but usually in the mornings when I'm making my coffee or something like that, or doing the dishes, I'll put the NPR1 app on, and gives a quick, overview of the day's news, and then it goes on to like some other interesting stories, which I like. So,
what do you use for a calendar?
I'm so struggling with that. I generally use the default calendar, but I've found such syncing problems between my laptop and the iPhone, especially shared calendars with friends. It's just yucky.
Really? I've been using Fantastical.
I've heard of
which is really great. I use both the iOS version and the Mac version, and it was a little clunky at first, but once I figured out a few little things, it really started to work well.
Cool.
I like it a lot, and especially the different views they give you, and the fact that you can copy and paste a lot into it, and it also does a lot of predictive text input, I guess you could say. It'll kind of guess what you're putting into, like if you put lunch at 7 o'clock or at 12 or whatever, like it'll kind of predict that, which is pretty cool.
Okay. No, I've been messing with the calendar. I've moved pretty much all my email over to FastMail.
Yeah, you mentioned
Google. That. Yeah, and that has a really nice web calendar built in. Yeah, so I've been really starting to move stuff over to that.
How's FastMail working out?
I love it. It's fantastic.
Interesting.
Absolutely fantastic. I have 2 domains, SethW.com and SkullToaster.com. I got those before Google started charging $50 a year.
Yeah.
to throw your email into them. But I Google. I just had so much Google going on. So I was like, I started researching. I found FastMail. Heard nothing but good things about them. It's $40 a year, unlimited domains. So if I have 5, 6, 7 different URLs of projects I'm working on, I can easily have emails for all of those. It all goes into one email inbox, which is fine. But I love it. Absolutely love it.
Awesome.
Yep.
I think that's a lot of apps to digest.
Ooh, I know it is. Oh, I'll just say too that the FastMail app is actually pretty good, even though I'm trying not to have email on my phone.
Oh, they have their own dedicated app?
They do. It works really nice.
I've heard good things about Dispatch, but I haven't tried it myself yet.
That's a later episode, I guess.
Yeah. Well, we have a few new things to tell you guys. If you want to send feedback or if you have any questions, speaking of email, there's a new email address set up. It's just hello@workbenchpodcast.com. Again, hello@workbenchpodcast.com. You can also sign up for our newsletter, and you can find out when new episodes are posting, other cool things we're working on. I'm sure Seth and I will come up with some pretty good ideas to put into the newsletter, since we both use email newsletters pretty heavily in our day jobs.
Absolutely.
So just head over to workbenchpodcast.com or check out the show notes. A direct link will be in there, so you can sign up for that. And why don't you tell them about our Twitter idea?
Yeah, we're gonna try this out. I'm usually not a big fan of hashtags, but I think this will work. If you have a question, if you're listening to this, you might be listening to this because you clicked a link from Twitter from either Bill or I, and you have a tech question. Maybe not tech, but web or just an app or workflow kind of thing, and you want to shoot us a question, just, @reply and tag it, hashtag Workbench Podcast.
Yeah, or
and that way, go ahead.
Or just tell us what you're using and what you're getting out of it. I'd love, that's the whole point of this is to expand the community and find out what other people are working on. So I'd love to hear what people are using and getting really good use out of. So use the Workbench Podcast hashtag, and we'll mention it on a future show.
Yeah, totally. I mean, there's probably someone out there listening that uses this one app that me and Bill haven't even heard of yet, and it could radically change our lives.
Change my life.
Better. Yes.
Somebody please change my life.
by way of a simple hashtag.
Right.
Workbench Podcast.
Well,
cool.
I think that about does it for episode 2, Seth W. So thanks.
I think so. That's good stuff. We'll do this again.
Thanks for chatting.
Absolutely.
All right, buddy. See you later.
Bye.